And so, these are the same as those. And I'll unwrap these. So that's the front one. That's got nothing on it. And then these, hopefully I've marked on the bottom, which I have. So I've got to trim these down. And just with a knife, trim them as close as you can. Now you're going to have lumps of glue along the side there. Don't try and get those off with the knife. We'll do that with a chisel in a little bit. But again, don't try and do it all in one go. Give it a few gentle little strokes. Okay, so we've trimmed that down. I'll just do that to the rest of them. All right. Now we'll just clean this off. You've got to get these flat on the sides. Ouch. Because when you router them, it runs up against the router fence, and therefore it has to be flat, or else you're not going to get nice parallel cuts. If you gouge a little bit out, it doesn't really matter that much. But you know, if you get a big tear out or something, just glue it back in. There you go. I think that's it, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What's that one doing here? So ringing. That's all right. Okay. What I do first of all is all the cuts that need to be done at 3mm deep with this cutter. And then I actually bring the cutter up another 2mm, and I do some more cuts at 5mm where I've got deeper knife cavities, and also I move the fence over a little bit so I can get a wider one, and this is going to have a meat cleaver in it as well. So that gets that one, that does both of those, that does both of those, that does both of those, and that can stay there. All right. Ear protection. I love these. So big shout out to George and all the team at iMuffs. They're glasses and ear protection in one. Absolutely fantastic. But you can't get camouflage ones. George did those specially for me, which I think are great. But they've got all sorts of other colours. My grandkids have got some around here, but I can't find them. And he's got another set out there, which are full face goggles, which I'll show you next time. But I'll stop and talk to you through it. And I've come in about 8mm. So if we put all these together, it should look all right. That's all the slots cut. Now what we've got to do is cut these to length, but also cut them on an angle. So for that, I'll go over to the docking saw, and I'm going to dock these at 45 to start with. Then I'm going to dock them to length. There it is. Or if you like. But the difference being, this one was just plain. There's the close-up. You can see the pinstripes coming in. Okay, let's glue this little sucker together. And then we can move on to the next part. Now all I'm doing here, normally I prefer to double glue, but because this is a knife block and it's going in the kitchen and I don't care, I'm just going to single glue. The other reason is you can't line up where these glue lines are going to go. It's okay on that piece, but when you come to this, how do you line the glue lines up with the back of this? So I just go single glue and it'll do. There we go. Yeah. Great big gob just went into the opening. We'll get that in a tick. Here we go. Done. That went everywhere too. Nearly finished. And these are great gifts. And of course you can use different coloured timbers if you want, or different coloured veneers. And it can really impress either the significant other in your life or guests that come around. We've got enough at home, so I think I'll give these ones away, but there we go. Just line all that up like that. Pop that either side. Get a clamp and just clamp it up. Just make sure these line up so they're not out of whack, and everything else lines up down the side. If it does, it's a lot easier when you come to finish it off, as you will see very shortly. But that's it. Then just clamp it down nice and tight. It's funny when you look at it, you look down here, you think you've got gaps. You haven't, it's just that the veneer's that colour. So, all right, put that to one side. Here is one that I did yesterday and just glued up. So I thought we could finish that off. Now you can either sand that, if you've got a belt sander, by all means use a belt sander and sand it flat. If you've got a jointer, you could rub it over a jointer and flatten it out. The back's not too bad. And the same with the front, you can sand it. But what we might do is have a crack at planing it. Don't need earmuffs for this because it's going to be quiet. Now, depending on your choice, you could use a block plane on the side. I'm just going to put a squirt of water in there. The reason, for those of you that don't know the water reason, if you put water in your vise, it grips a lot better, it won't move. I don't know which one to use. Doesn't really matter, I suppose. Oh, we'll give this one a try. This is a 5.5 Stanley. And all I'm going to do is just clean off those edges. And if you look at that, it's given me nice pinstripes, which is the effect I'm after here. So we'll do the other side. And for this, if you don't want to use a metal plane, we'll use a wooden plane. These are my favourite planes. They're H&T Gordon, but work much the same. And again, that's nice and smooth and flattened out. Now for this top bit, geez, I'm getting some flare on that. This top bit, I'm just going to use a plane as well. Since it's in grain, I think I'll use a block plane. And we'll just bring it all down to the one level. See how this one's going. You can see the colour of the timber actually starting to come through. And on the top as well. So what I've done there, Shah will do the bottom too. If it's not done, it's not done, is it? So you've got to do it properly. But anyway, okay, so we've done that. I'm just going to go over to the router. Okay. That's done. So now it's just got rounded edges. And what I'm going to do is quickly throw a sander over it. Yes, a sander, I do have one. And I use them occasionally. Oh, but it just finishes it off, and this is only pine, so I'm not too fussed with that. So here we go. And what I like to do with everything that I make is whack a brand on it. More so because I can remember I made it then. Here it goes. And that, by the way, is a Burnmaster Eagle, that one that I just used actually. I'll just take the extra bit of burn off of that. So what we might do now, whack a bit of oil on it. This is nice, this tung oil. It's really, really thick, but it brings out the colour of the timber, even if it is just pine. But you can see how those pinstripes really pop. And it just makes it look, yeah, a little bit different, a little bit special than the run-of-the-mill stuff you can get elsewhere. So there you go. That is one knife block made in real time on Twitch. Really easy to do, but for my money, I like the difference with the pinstripe. It just sets it apart. That's plain and daggy and normal, whereas that's something a bit special.